Every new blend borrows from the past, and the Saga Blend No. 7 is the perfect combination of timeless knowledge of traditional tobaccos and the newer balance that today's cigar enthusiasts come to expect and love in a fine cigar. Leveraging 6 generations of experiences and traditions of the Reyes family, the Saga Blend No. 7 delivers a unique, full-flavored, medium-bodied cigar. This cigar is highlighted by a Brazilian wrapper over a blend of Central American and Dominican tobacco. Available in 3 sizes at an affordable price, the Saga Blend No. 7 is sure to please and bring together past and present. Rocky Patel Premium Cigars. The sun-grown Maduro is hand-rolled at Rocky Patel's boutique factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. This triple-capped, hand-bunched, and hand-rolled cigar is accompanied by a gorgeous broadleaf wrapper. Well-balanced, rich, and decadent, it truly is a great addition to any humidor and worthy of the long-respected sun-grown name. For more information, visit them on the web at rockypatel.com and be sure to follow Rocky Patel Premium Cigars on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Review or report on something, we don't want there to be any guesswork. We believe the information must be accurate and it has to be reliable. For what we review, the goal is hopefully to educate our audience, and at the same time an equally important goal is in turn to get educated ourselves. What we want to do is earn the trust of our audience, and to do that we ensure what we report is accurate, rumor-free, and teaser-free. The premium cigar industry is so dynamic and every day brings something new. We wanted Cigar Coop to be an extension of that experience, so it has to be 365 days a year. We wanted to create a true media ecosystem and integrate Cigar Coop with the power of our Stogie Geeks programming network.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. We got Mark here with us in studio. Woo! Talk about the cigars we've been smoking. Will and Ben are still on the lines via Skype. Now, Will, I'm gonna chime in on what you guys have been smoking. I put all my efforts into my top 20 list. So I'll let you guys take it away.
Awesome. I'll kick it off.
Top 10 list, I should say.
Yeah. So I'll kick it off. And I'm going to kind of I want to talk about this cigar because there were some characteristics of this cigar that reminded me of the Mi Querida. But it wasn't a Mi Querida. It didn't have any of the same tobaccos. It doesn't even come to the same countries. But I did have some parallels when I smoked this, and it was the Flor Dominicana TAA 48, which was not the Maduro, but the regular TAA.
One. I like the regular one. I smoked through a bunch of those. It didn't make my list. It's probably if I had to do a top 20 list, Will, it might make it into that list. I tell you what, it was a really strong offering. I don't want to steal your thunder, but of course they got the Cigar of the Year from Cigar Aficionado, which I smoked as well, but we can talk about that.
You know, it's funny. I had that. I schedule everything on Cigar Coop, right, in advance. Well, that was actually scheduled for Thursday, right? And when Andalusian Bull hit, I actually switched a review I had. I switched the days up. It was, I just felt at that point it was going to not get a lot of attention. So I moved it to Friday, actually. But, so I smoked this cigar. And it's, the one thing I found about this cigar, it had that damp earth taste to it.
Yeah.
It really did. So that's immediately when I smoked it. Not that it smoked like a Mi Querida, but it had that. It had that dank. Steve Saka uses the word dank. And I didn't want to use the word dank in the review because he kind of just I don't know, it's kind of like his word, right? But really, really good cigar. It had a little bit of kick. It was, I'd say, a medium to full in strength and body. It was rugged, it was gritty. It was very different than not only any other La Flor I'd had before, but it was very different than any other TAA cigar I'd had before. I gave it a box split.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, which is a solid rating by us. This, I hope it doesn't disappear entirely. I guess, I know TAAs are usually one and done, but it's a good cigar.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I did a review of that one as well, and that was one of the outstanding releases of the TA releases of this year. It's one that was very good, very tasty, just burned well. That's a quality release from them for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be reviewing the Maduro, I think, in a week, which is it was different. Because they actually use the San Andreas Natural, a dark San Andreas Natural in this. They're very hard to tell those cigars apart.
Yes.
But
I thought the Maduro was better.
Yeah, well, I'll kind of give my thoughts on that. I'm going to hold up my thoughts on that one. But it was very different. But when you smoke them, they look similar. But when you smoke them, you'll see a difference.
So let's talk about the Andalusian Bull. Did you guys smoke this one yet? This was the #1 cigar from Cigar Aficionado.
Yes.
No, I haven't smoked it. They came into the shop, the smoke ring in Texas, where I'm at, and I've got it here. I actually brought it to smoke without knowing that was going to be #1 to do a review, and I'm kind of like, now I kind of don't want to do it right now. But I haven't smoked it yet because everybody's telling me it's like 2.5 hour commitment.
It is.
Yes.
It's a commitment. It's a 6.5 by 64 ring gauge Ecuadorian wrapper, Dominican binder and filler, and it got a 96 from Cigar Aficionado. It obviously didn't make my top 10 list. I think it's a great offering from La Flor. One of the things that I loved about it was you think La Flor, you think really strong, but this one was like a solid medium. It's a medium-bodied cigar, like through and through. It doesn't even really amp up that much in strength when you finish the cigar. And it's got good flavors. I wouldn't say it's outstanding flavors. I was kind of, I thought there was a lot more cigars this year released that had a lot more in the flavor profile than this cigar, although this is a cigar that would be a box worthy in my opinion. It's a 10-count box. It's a gorgeous box. They're about $15 or $16 a stick. There's a ton of smoking time in there, so I think it's a worthwhile investment. I did get like a 30-something% discount off the box when I bought one. Basically, when it was released, I bought a box so we could take pictures of it and smoke the cigar and talk about it, because a lot of people are going to be talking about the cigar. I don't know if you smoked one yet, Mark.
No, we only had Tyler smoke one. He bought one from next door, but I have not smoked.
Did he like it?
He said he liked it.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good cigar. To be #1, I think.
He said he loved it.
Tyler said he loved it, and I liked it too. But I think in the flavor category, it could have done more to be #1, right? Like to be #1, you got to really like knock it out of the park on all categories. And for me, like I thought it was a great cigar from La Flor. For #1, I'm not sure I necessarily agree.
We did, folks sort of live stream that we kind of did, Stace Berkland and I, last week. And we went through a ton of cigars that we thought were in play. And one of the listeners, and he's actually a rep for La Flor Dominicana, his name's Ed Bowles, great guy. In the chat room, he throws up the name Andalusian Bull. He throws up Andalusian Bull. And Stace and I, that got a high rating throughout the year, and Stace and I thought that it missed the deadline because we were under the impression the deadline was October 1st. And it was, what happened was Rafael Nodal was the Facebook chat's not 100%. We were just talking about that. So Rafael was trying to let me know that, and Rafael Nodal's very, very in tune with the process. He was trying to let us know it was in play because it was October 31st is the deadline. That being said, we wouldn't have picked that as #1 because they've never picked, first of all, a 64 ring gauge. Or anything 60's never been #1.
It's a torpedo. It's a torpedo that you don't feel like you're smoking a 60+ ring gauge, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it doesn't. And then the second thing that's real interesting about that is it's only the second cigar out of the DR to ever get a #1. The other one was an Opus X in 2005, so DR doesn't tend to get those #1. So we wouldn't have had it as our #1 at all.
That being said, it's a good. I mean, people are going to like smoking it. In terms of #1s that have been released, I think it's some of the better offerings because
they're gonna have a big year with it. I'll tell you, they're gonna have a big year.
Yeah, I think people should smoke this cigar, and I think it's interesting if it didn't get #1 or didn't get ranked at all. I don't think a lot of people would have smoked it, to be honest with you, because I think they would have looked at the size, they may have looked at the price point, they may have smoked one and been, but I think a lot of people are going to smoke it, which I think is great. Because they love D, the Gomez family, and we congratulate them on their #1 ranking. I think it's well deserved because it's a great cigar, and they've
Lido was overdue for a #1.
Absolutely, absolutely. And while I don't agree, it's not my #1. I don't disagree that it's a great. I think it's a great cigar. So I'm encouraged and enthusiastic that people are going to be smoking it. And they're not going to be disappointed. No, I think very few people, put it this way, are going to pick up the cigar and go, I really don't like it. I think it's a really likable cigar, right? It's got a lot going for it.
If you're a Flor Dominicana power smoker, it's not going to be the cigar.
It's not the cigar for you.
But they've changed. We had John Carney on, and how they've changed over the last few years, coming out with more of these medium cigars. Lennox, the 1994. That's where they've been really putting their energy in the last 3 or 4 years.
Did Lennox get a rating in Cigar Aficionado last year?
No, it didn't.
See, I actually like the Lennox better than the Andalusian
Bull. A lot
Bull.
of people will tell you that.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll sell more singles than boxes?
I think you're going to sell more overall.
Yeah, I think it'll be overall. I think there'll be people grabbing boxes who might not normally get a box if they really like this cigar.
I agree. And it's a 10 count box, so it's pretty reasonable priced.
My son told me at the shop, they had 2 boxes left. They're gone, pretty much. I think there may be a couple left, but he said they went pretty fast.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll pass it up a few times just because of the size, because that's a cigar that for me, it's just too big. I don't enjoy cigars that huge.
Yeah, but you don't feel like you're smoking a 60 plus ring
the
at all.
tapering will help with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel like at any point in time it was too much of a cigar. I don't think it took a long time to smoke, but I wasn't ever bored with it at any point, which is why I'm calling it like a box-worthy, like good cigar, because I wasn't bored with it at any point. I thought it smoked great throughout the whole experience. And
for me, but it kind of made me overcome the size problem was that it was LFD, to be honest, because La Flor Dominicana, they make a lot of really outstanding cigars for me. So I just knew it's new, it's from LFD, I've got to smoke it. So.
Yep. There is another LFD that came out this year, which I won't reveal, which I think was one of the best cigars this year.
Oh,
and it was very high on my list. Yep. There is one. I'm just going to kind of leave it out there.
Well, their football cigar was awesome. That almost made my list.
I remember that.
Their football cigar was freaking awesome. It's one of the only other ones I can think of, Will, that came out this year from LFD. And that
was a really good. He sent us both the older football and the newer one. I thought the newer one was better, though.
I thought the newer one was better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. What else, Will?
I think Ben. Ben, you got?
No, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I've got. Actually, I'm smoking one now. It's called the Serino cigars. I had not heard of them, and they contacted me about if I'd like to do a review on them. So they sent me a pack, which you can see this is right here. It's kind of empty, but it's called the Maduro XX blend.
Yep.
It's really tasty. I mean, I get a nice little coffee note, leather, some oakiness with it, a little bit of nuttiness. It's a really good cigar. I'm really enjoying it. I've been smoking a few of them. I actually got one I'm gonna do a review for this week, but it's a really tasty Maduro cigar, and I'm really picky on Maduros because I'm not that big of a Maduro fan, but this one is a really, really good, solid stick. Very good.
I was very impressed with that cigar, Ben. I've smoked the whole line, and I've been real impressed with what they've delivered with that line. They have 4 blends, so there was one of them I think in each of that pack, and I even like the Connecticut with that.
I got to try some more of them. But another thing we talked about earlier was the smoke production. And there's tons of smoke come off the cigar, so it's another thing I like about it. It's a really good stick. I'm not really sure what the price point is on the cigar. I don't remember. They sent a booklet with the blend information and all that. But I don't know what it could be, but I mean, if it's in $12 range, I think it's fine. It smokes
I think they were about in the $12 range, but they have announced the price reduction, so they were able to get some of the pricing down. Yeah.
I think it's worth $12, to be totally honest.
It was very good. It was very good.
Yeah, smokes well. I mean, it's a really good stick. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, we had Carson on the show as well. So I think he was on episode, I want to say 202. We had him on, but he was a guest on Stogie Geeks, and I think we talked through those cigars.
Back to you, Will.
This one, okay, this is a Davidoff. And I smoked the Davidoff Year of the Rooster LE 2017. And this year they did a diadema size. They kind of did a thinner diadema. It's like a 6 3/4 by 50. It's a Habano Ecuador wrapper with Dominican binder and filler. Now, I have always, when the Zodiac cigars started coming out, I really loved Year of the Snake, I really loved Year of the Horse, and I really loved Year of the Sheep. I thought Year of the Monkey last year was a slight disappointment. So I was expecting a rebound with the Rooster. I didn't get that. This cigar, I smoked 2 of them, and they're not cheap. They're $40 a piece.
Yikes.
And both of them smoked the same way, and there may be some youngness to it. This cigar, I'm gonna be honest. There was this cigar had that twang to it. It had a heavy twang to that cigar, almost reminiscent of a Cuban twang. So it kind of had it, and that twang I just thought was too much with this particular cigar. It just kind of overpowered it and wasn't doing much else. The strength of the cigar and the body is really interesting. You know, it starts out like under a medium. And this thing builds up and builds up and builds up. And by the end of it, it's up like towards medium to full. And there's a big change along the way. So it does increase in intensity. But to me, this cigar was a miss from Davidoff standards. And I think Davidoff's had the best year of any company this year. Yep. I think they had an incredible year. This one just didn't do it for me. I gave it a try one. And you know, I'm comfortable, though, saying I think age will be kind to this thing. How much will it's not there yet. The problem is, you know, you get them, you know, $40, you want a chance putting it away. It's a gamble. I'm just going by a gut feel here. So I'm going to put one away and see. But right now, I thought it was a miss.
Yeah, I think it'll age fine because every one of those year of the whatever animal, horse, snake, everything, have all aged so well.
They have.
So I think this will be really good with some age on it.
I think I would agree. The Sheeps especially have aged really well. I have a couple of those lying around. So they're the 2015. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. It was, you know, the thing is, Paul hates this cigar, right? He doesn't hate it. He disagrees with me. Year of the Snake was one of my all-time favorite Davidoffs. And that was a $30 cigar, and this one's a $40 cigar.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the Year of the Snake, Will. Just for the record, I don't think it's that great. Like, I think it's a good cigar, but I don't hold it in high regard as you and Stogie Santa.
Yeah,
honestly, I didn't care for it as much either.
You know, when you have the Chef's Edition that came out this year,
yeah,
at $5 cheaper, the scorecard. Which again, that's in the $20 range.
I haven't smoked the Golf Edition was the predecessor to that.
Well, no, the scorecard. You did smoke the scorecard because I had them sent to you.
Oh, okay.
And then you sent it. So it is the Golf. It's the Golf Edition for 2016.
Yeah. Did I smoke one of those too?
You did smoke that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot I smoked it.
Yeah, I think I let you keep the gold band. Last year I kept the gold band one, and I think this year you kept it. So I look
what
at
did
those
I rate that? Do you remember what I rated it? It must have been really good.
I think it was like a box worthy. I think it was a box. I mean, scorecard, Scorecard actually was number 20 on my list this year. So it was a top 20 cigar. I thought it was unbelievable. But I look at those limited releases versus this one. Yeah. And this one wasn't close to where those two were.
Well, not much is going to be close to that Chef's Edition because that is a special cigar.
It's a contender. I could say that. It's a major contender here.
I got to find the Chef's Edition.
It was supposed to be released in the U.S. It was supposed to be a Europe-only edition.
Yeah.
You know,
and they got such good feedback. You know, and I thought it was going to be very gimmicky, Ben. You know, because they were trying to pair it. They had these chefs kind of in the blending. I don't want to say they blended it, but they were part of, I guess, the evaluation. And I just said, all right, it's a little gimmicky. But, Paul, I can probably get some. It will probably break our budget a bit, but you need to smoke it. So it's that good a cigar.
Will, whatever
you need to smoke
whatever you need to do to get me great cigars, you do that, all right?
Yeah. Now, and the other one, I'll just say one other Davidoff I smoked was, and I talked about, was the Royal Release Robusto, the Blue Label.
Did you smoke that?
Yeah, the $80 one. Which the $80 one I gave a try one to as well. But again, that was more a factor of how expensive it would be to get a box of those, not because So I'd rather than get two of these, I'd get one of those Royal Releases in a heartbeat.
Right.
Well, one last statement on that Chef's Edition. I could unequivocally say that would be my number one cigar of the year if it wasn't so limited and impossible to get a hold of. No doubt.
They went, but I do know a couple places that have them.
It's worth hunting down. Definitely. I don't care what the cost is now. It's worth it. It's that good of a cigar. I mean, there's not much. Honestly, there's not much in a few years that I've smoked that I would take over that cigar.
It is an elite Davidoff cigar. Very elite. I mean, it's right up there with the Art Edition in my book, which was another great one too.
Sorry, it's long.
Let me put it this way: if Paul runs into a cigar that he doesn't like, it ends up across the room.
It's kind of like Gronk when he scores a touchdown.
Is it like Stogie Santa throwing a cigar into the Danube River?
Sort of, but more like Gronk, like spiking the football when he scores a touchdown.
But in anger.
But in anger instead of celebration.
But there was this cigar that someone brought us, and I liked it. The first one I had, it pulled nicely. It was a nice burn. And then Paul had one, and he goes into his office. I hear him come stomping out of the office, and he just throws the cigar across the studio.
It was like the third one I lit up. It was terrible.
Was it terrible or was it Paul syndrome?
It was... It was a syndrome. I don't know if it was necessarily related to me, but the cigars would not smoke. It was frustrating. Kind of like my struggles right now. I don't even have a cigar to smoke right now. That's how horrible I've had Paul syndrome right now.
You can have mine.
Someone bring me a cigar, damn it.
There you got a title for the episode, guys.
Bring me a cigar, damn it. Crap. It's the end of the show. It needs to be a really small cigar, too.
Hey, this 68.
Illusion
68.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Oh, it's a great cigar.
It's the second one I've had. Not today, but.
I wish I had one to smoke.
They're I'd say, I'm not going to rate it so fast, but.
Cutters and lighters and
just no cigar.
Something. Thank you.
Hey, Will, just for me being unexperienced in your lingo on the cigar, like the explanation you're talking about, what do you mean by a twang? Like, is that something I should look for in a cigar?
That's a good question, Mark. It's hard to pinpoint.
The best way I could put it is there's three flavors that tend to converge. There's like a natural tobacco note with the citric, a little bit of an acidic quality, to some black pepper coming in there too that gives it some spice, and they all kind of converge. That's a good I've heard it referred. Yeah, I've heard it called a twang. I mean, the Cuban twang is sometimes described as that. Sometimes it's a good thing, and like on certain cigars, like on the Bahique, it has it, but it's not overpowering. But when it overpowers, that's when I don't like it. And a lot of Cubans will do that aren't really good Cubans. A good Cuban cigar, I find, won't do that. There's also a Nicaraguan twang, which is has a little more of the spice component to it, I think.
Is it something that like tickles your taste buds, or is it something that you can just recognize, other than just trying to mask the fact that the cigar is not that great?
No, it's spice will stimulate. Is not an area of the tongue that you get on a note. It's more of a stimulation of the tongue. And you'll find that it just kind of stimulates the taste buds on it, and your taste buds start working a little overtime is what I find. I don't know, Ben, you may have a different opinion of that.
No, that's pretty much exactly spot on what I think, too. You know, like, to me, like when I say a twang, and pretty much, any true Southerner has grown up on sweet tea, basically. And a sweet tea, after it sits around a while, it gets a twang, too. It's kind of like a cigar. It's almost like a little bit of a sourness. Almost like a grapefruit citrusy kind of a sourness. Ooh. And it sounds like that's a bad thing, but when it's like a small component, like an accent to a cigar, it's really nice. It's really nice. But to me, it's kind of like almost like a citrusy kind of a little bit of a sourness note to it. That's the way I describe it, twang. Yeah,
there's definitely a citric component to that twang. And then what happens is sometimes citrus, Mark, is a little bit of a sign of a youngness of a cigar. So if the citrus can die down a bit, that's, I think, when you start getting the other flavors. Like, if I hear someone saying a cigar is very citric, if it doesn't have a sweetness to it, if it has more of that acid component or that sour component to it, then that's my immediate red flag. The cigar's not ready to smoke. I got some of that with that Davidoff.
Ben, what else you been smoking?
Well, it's kind of funny because this week I've been doing a lot of reviews. I've kind of been doing catch up, to be honest, with the reviews that were due. And one that I did earlier today, we actually talked about it already, was the Padron 1926, series number 90. And I spoke both the Maduro and the natural today. And by far, to me, I like the natural a lot more than the Maduro. And I got kind of an oddball note. And this is going to sound totally cigar blogger kind of snobby kind of thing. But I get red pepper flake kind of on it, like it's spice, and I get it has a citrus punch like we were just talking about, but it's not real twangy. It's just kind of a lemony, kind of a citrus note. But there's a sweetness there, and it's more than just a sweetness. And what my brain immediately popped out and said was toasted marshmallow.
Oh no!
But so that is what popped in my head. It was like toasted marshmallows.
No toasted marshmallow.
Oh yeah. I mean, but the backbone of the cigar, though, for me, is that there's a nice cedar note that kind of just binds the whole cigar together. So you got the little bit of sweetness, a little bit of that spice, and the cedar note. It's a really, really tasty cigar. I love this cigar. This is so much of a box-worthy cigar. It's not even funny. Whereas the Maduro, it's kind of the same, but it has more of, to me, like more of a dusty kind of cocoa powder note on it. But it's a little bitter, right? Yeah. Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, it is. But I kind of, it's like almost like a dark, like a really high cocoa percentage chocolate bar, like a dark chocolate bar. It's kind of like, it's a little bit bitter.
Yeah.
It's almost that. It's kind of like that dusty chalkiness a little bit that I get in there. That I don't hate it, but it makes it to where the natural to me is so much better. I like the natural a lot more than I like the Maduro.
I agree with your assessment wholeheartedly. You like the natural because we bought a box of those.
I don't remember.
Because I'm like, you only live once, and I gave you and Tyler. It's in a tube.
Oh, the
We're gonna smoke more of them on Friday during our Christmas party.
the Padron.
The Padron, that one right there.
The 1926?
Yeah.
That was
Well, the
awesome.
part-
It was awesome.
tube,
The guys
it
were
was
like,
awesome.
"Oh my god!" I'm like, "Yeah, this is where it's at in terms of cigar."
For some reason, the thing in the studio is the barn smell. I take it out of the tube. You smell the foot.
It's like a barnyard.
it's-
Yes.
It had
You know
so
what
much.
it is?
It's so much flavor.
I think a lot of that has to do with there's no cedar in there, and I think you get more of that barnyard because of that.
No, I agree, Bill. Yeah, the Padron tends to put the cedar in there, and it definitely. I like that. That cedar. Anyway, Will, back to you.
I smoked a cigar that was actually a Connecticut shade, and it's kind of an off the beaten path Connecticut, but it's by a big company or a bigger company. It's the Jaime Garcia Reserva Especial Connecticut in what's called the 1050 size.
1050.
Is that like a 10 by 50? That would be epic.
That'd be.
That's the one that like when you hold in your mouth and you open the door, it hits the door
what was
before you
that
have a
cigar?
chance to open it. That was an LFD, I think.
We have this with it.
Yeah,
Paul
it was
smoked
the-
the cigar had the green and the brown twisted wrapper in it, and we took a picture of it. It was the size of his forearm.
Yeah.
And we walked. It was when the power went out here.
Yeah.
And he went to last winter, and he went to walk out the front door, and he reached for the door and smacked the cigar against it.
The cigar hit the door before I could open it.
It was huge. Will?
Will, you there?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
I had the cough button on.
Oh, I had the confidence. I like that.
Yeah. No, the 1050, I don't know where the 10 comes from, but the 50 is because this was a shop exclusive to a cigar a cigar shop in Chicago called Up Down Cigar, and it was their 50th anniversary.
I've been there to that shop, actually, which is
really
pretty funny.
cool shop. I
Awesome.
think we
Dude,
talked
they've
a
got
little
this cabinet of pipes. You would love this
Cabinet
store.
of pipes?
When you first walk into the store, immediately to the right, they've got these pipes, and they start at the bottom, and when you go up to the top, there's like pipes that are like $700-800, and then the top shelf is like on the price tag, it's like yeah, we might sell this to you. Like it literally like says that on the price tag. And it's
Oh my
it's a
gosh.
really cool shop in Chicago.
Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah. So what My Father Cigars did is they have a line called the Jaime Garcia, which is a Connecticut broadleaf blend. About 4 or 5 years ago, they came out with a Connecticut shade limited edition that went only to New England.
Yes, I remember that. I like that
Yep.
cigar a lot.
Yeah, they came out with 4. So what they did is there's this 5th size, which is a 6 3/8 by 43 Lonsdale that they made of that blend, and they gave it to Up Down Cigars. So you're getting that blend in the Lonsdale format. I thought it was a really good.
So
Connecticut.
did you go to Chicago to get the cigar, Will?
Stace picked me up them from Chicago.
Nice.
Yes, Stace is a that's his hometown, so he picked me up
Nice.
some of these. And they actually also did a Fausto in that size too.
Yeah, because
Lonsdale.
they're a big Tatuaje shop there. Tatuaje does a lot of events there and stuff.
Yep. And we obviously tied with My Father. Very creamy. It starts out, and then it kind of gets more pepin-like in the second half, where it kind of you get a little more spice on it. So it gets a little kind of it loses some of the smoothness, but it still remains very flavorful all the way through. It's not a strong cigar. It's not a nicotine bomb, so it's like mild to medium. So it's not something you can have at any time of the day. I gave it a 5. I thought it was a nice addition to, that's a kind of a cigar I would like to have seen more readily available. Just a good size, I thought, for that blend as well.
Nice. Ben, back to you. What else you been smoking?
Well, I'm going to go really low end here. Padron 50th anniversary, the Hammer Maduro.
My cigar of the year last year.
Yes, and I can completely understand why, because this cigar is phenomenal. Now, I didn't smoke on last year at all. I didn't really start smoking them until this year, and I haven't had the natural, but I reviewed the Maduro today on Stogie Review, and this cigar is phenomenal. I mean, it has a really nice black pepper earthiness. It has a beautiful chocolate note on there that is just phenomenal. I mean, and it also has like a nice woody cedar note on there as well. It's kind of reminiscent a little bit of the number 90, but this one has got more like it's the pepper, the black pepper is definitely a major note for this, along with that chocolate. That chocolate note is crazy on this cigar. I mean, it is just such a phenomenal cigar. I could easily understand why you had this cigar of the year. Because, I mean, if this thing wasn't like... the thing is, I've smoked three or four of the Maduros, and I would smoke a lot more. But the price tag on this cigar is crazy. I mean, I've seen it anywhere from $40 to $125.
Oh, is this the one that comes in the humidor?
Yeah,
Yep.
And that's the reason, because I've been to different shops, and they sell them in different ways. For one, you have one shop, because like the humidor, you buy the humidor, it's like $5,300, right? And some places calculate the price of the humidor and it's like $125. And then you have other places that they'll price them more normally, and I can see them in Dallas, Texas for like $75, but around Houston, they're around $40. Here at the cigar shop in Biloxi, they're $60. So they vary. The price changes drastically, but at $40, it's worth that special treat. I mean, it's really, really good cigar. And the thing is, I've been hearing a lot of chatter about the natural 50th is actually better than the Maduro.
Paul says, yep. Paul says that.
Yeah, I agree. Natural's better.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to try to snag one of those and maybe put a review up on that for next week. But it's kind of when we do reviews, we like to smoke 3 to 5 cigars, but something that's expensive, it's not feasible. Or I mean, none of us are millionaires, so it's not. I mean, Paul probably is, but
I don't know about that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
But yeah, it's an outstanding smoke. But like I said, a couple of people keep saying, that Maduro, that's a really outstanding cigar. But I think I like the natural just a little bit better. So I'm definitely going to have to check that one out soon too.
You won't be. I mean, the naturals. It's one of those. It's It's one of those age-old battles with the Padron natural versus Maduro, and the natural is a great cigar too. There's no. It was still a top 15 cigar for me last year as well. That natural.
Will, you got more cigars on your list?
Got one more.
One more. Okay, let's do it.
So I smoked a cigar by our friend Victor Vital, the Tortuga 215 Reserva Cedro number 10, which we've smoked a few of these Cedros. I know you've smoked the Bellicoso. This was a 6.5 by 58, so it wouldn't be a cigar for Ben. It's a bigger ring gauge. But it smoked really good for a big ring gauge. It's, you know what it's going to have? It's going to have a nice sweetness up front, and then that cedar sleeve, which is on the cigar, that cedar is going to kick in the second half. But it's a pleasant cedar. It's not an overpowering cedar. It has some sweet qualities to the cedar as well. It's a medium strength, medium bodied cigar that you can smoke any time of the day. $9 price point. Very, very good. Excuse me, box split.
Right. You just swallow some smoke.
The box split. No, I like Victor cigars a lot, especially this one that Kruk gave us. He's all excited in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's interesting. I smoked the number 5, which is the smaller size. And when I smoked it, I thought it needed a little more age when I smoked it. But the number 5, which is actually something I want to go back and review, that's like a Rothschild size, a 5.5 by 48. That's really smoking good as well. The Bellicoso is my favorite of the Cedro line. I think the Bellicoso is the one that shined.
Time's up.
Ouch.
Ben, you got more cigars?
Holy smokes.
Yeah, I just have one more, and it's the CEO de Pilon. I guess is how you pronounce it.
I smoked those. Those are good. Yeah.
I like that one too.
Yeah, we got those in at the shop here in Biloxi, and it's one that I didn't really expect much from it because I didn't know a whole lot about it when I grabbed it, but I wanted something different, so I went and got the cigar. It was Robusto size, and man, it's really tasty. I really enjoyed the cigar. I mean, I got like a nice, it has pepper on it. I got a little bit of cinnamon. I had a nice peanut nutty note to it, some cedar, and a little bit of caramel sweetness. It was a very tasty cigar. As a matter of fact, we were talking about nightcap cigars. That's actually when I had it. Was one of my first little nightcap cigars, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed that cigar.
I totally agree with you on that one. I enjoyed that one immensely, and that's the one where they're actually aging the tobacco in circular pilons, which is how they got the name, which is like an old Cuban technique that it's an expensive technique to age the tobacco, but it is a good, tasty is just the word. It's another one of those, like I said, CAO the last couple of years has really been putting out some good blends.
I'm looking for, I reviewed this cigar.
I think you did.
I gave it a 5. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good cigar.
I gave it a box split. Split. Yeah, which is we're pretty close on that.
Excellent.
So two good ratings.
You know, I was hoping you guys would talk about a cigar that I smoked, but
what did you smoke?
What did you smoke?
No, I was just going to talk about the Avo, the classic number 2.
Oh, yeah, you smoked like my entire friggin' box of them. I go into my box, I'm like, what happened to all my Avo classic number 2s?
He comes in the morning and he's smoking one. I'm like, oh, those are really good. He's like, so it was you who smoked them all?
I totally baited on that. I was like, smoke one.
Dang it.
I was like, the box is totally empty.
I rated it a box worthy. This would be the first box I ever would buy.
It's amazing. Like, it has that like nice grassiness up front. Then it kind of mellows out, and it's a great morning smoke. It's got really a little bit of, it's really mild, but it's got just enough punch to kind of keep you kind of occupied in the morning. But like that little bit of grassiness I like. And I think this number 2 in the Toro does it perfectly. And what's amazing about the Avo number 2, we talked about with Miguel, like all these people coming to the Connecticut cigars, like I would reach for that one any time of the day. Like it's just a great, you can get them at a great price right now. They come in a tubo or not in a tubo. I recommend the not tubo because you get a little bit of a better price. And you can get these for like $5 a stick online. $4 or $5 a stick online, which is great.
You look at it, Paul. They smoked your box. That's called staff development.
That's right.
All right.
Well, and it wasn't like it was a box of like $30 Padrones either. It was like my $5 a stick box of Avo No. 2. So we'll buy more for the studio. We'll stock
I'll
up.
buy more.
Well, actually, you'll buy some and I'll buy some. You smoke yours and I'll smoke mine.
Exactly. After they did a offshoot of that last year in the limited. It was called the Classic Covers Volume 1. Which they took some of that classic, the Avo Classic, and they kind of took some of that tobacco, built a whole other blend around it, which I loved. That was my favorite of all the Avo Classic cover releases, was the Volume 1.
Yeah. Nice. I'm going to have to go back and smoke some of those now.
Yep, yeah.
Because we've been liking the classic No. 2s. It's a great value. I think it's a good, versatile cigar. We talked about my top 10 cigars tonight, but when we talk about my regular smoking rotation, you'll see me with one of those. You'll see me with the EPC New Wave Connecticut Toros, the EPC the Ernesto's Humidor Connecticut.
You like
you'll see me with those.
The smaller ones, don't you? They're the small box of the EPs? Or
no,
it's a different box?
No, it's a different...
It's
the
Carrillo,
Illusione Rothschild's Connecticut's the ones I've been smoking recently, too. So it's interesting we talk about what was best in 2016. What I've been smoking is largely those Avos, and a lot of the EPC releases from the last couple of years have been kind of like my staple. So I'm glad you mentioned that cigar. So
Paul, you really haven't hit the new EPC stuff yet. And,
no, I haven't smoked the short run 2016. I haven't smoked what was the one that got rated? Was that the Oscuro?
Oscuro is fantastic, and so I got to tell a story about the Oscuro here. So I've been talking to Jose Blanco.
Yeah, because he works for EPC now.
He works for EPC. So he calls me, he calls me up. He knows I'm into this whole top thing. He goes, hey Coop. He goes, Ernesto wants to know where his cigar is going to be because they were up to like the top 5. And he goes, Ernesto wants to know where his cigar is going to be. And he wanted me to call. I said, he wants to know what you want to know. He's like, oh, come on, you're going to tell me, right? So I said, you're going to be in the top 5. He goes, will we get number 1? I said, no. He goes, we're not going to be number 1. I said, no, I don't think you're going to be number 1. He goes, well, where you going to be? And I said, I don't know. He goes, come on, give me a prediction. I said, all right, I just pulled out a number. I thought he would really be in the top 5. I said, 4. Well, he actually got the 4. And then Ernesto sends me a tweet like that night, like, thanks for getting it right. It's actually out there. So it's out on Twitter. That whole thing is actually out on Twitter.
That's
with
hilarious.
That. But Paul, that is a really good Oscuro, and in a pyramid size. It actually is a little different than, again, this is where size starts to change up a cigar a bit.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to say it's my favorite size of it, other than it's a very good one. But he's got other ones that have been coming out, and definitely the Dusk.
Yeah, the Dusk I thought was a little bit young. I have to say, for our friends Jose and our friend Ernesto, who Ernesto makes fantastic cigars. Jose just started working there. That the EPC Carrillo New Wave Connecticut, I've probably smoked more of that cigar this year than any other cigar on the market today. I've smoked more of that cigar. So if they want a resounding endorsement, it's not like on a list. It's that is like my favorite Connecticut. Hands down, if I had to make a list of Connecticut's, that would be, you're like, oh, you smoke another one of those? Like, every day I'm smoking one of those. I've gone through at least 3, 4, but probably 4+ boxes of those cigars in the past couple of years since they were released. So
it's more than that, too, because it's like usually when you don't like a cigar or something that doesn't pull right, it's sitting in the ashtray. But I've never seen one of those sit in your ashtray.
I smoke every single one of them. They're just awesome.
We're gonna get Ernesto or Jose on the show next year for sure.
Absolutely.
And I want to really talk about that particular cigar with them because it's a fantastic Connecticut, and it's very different than his original New Wave.
It is.
We like it. They've revamped that slightly, but all the packaging is starting to change on all these too. Which really looks cool, some of this packaging they have. And there's some stuff on Cigar Coop.
I got to buy more boxes of that New Wave Connecticut Reserve in the Toro size. Yeah, because I go through them so fast, Will. And that is probably one of the only cigars that I go through that fast. So to speak volumes about the quality coming out of Ernesto in that company, there couldn't be a more resounding endorsement for that company, to be honest with you.
And with Jose there now, he's got the guy on the ground, the ambassador. Mm-hmm. There's no better ambassador he hired in the industry. I'm sure Ben will agree with that than Jose.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. I love going to the seminars, his tasting seminars.
Oh,
it's
fantastic.
I mean, he's another one. Like I said, Steve Saka, I've learned a whole lot from. Jose's another one that I've learned a ton of stuff from, and he's just a real personable, great guy. I love hanging out with him. Just I was so happy to see them hire him on.
It was a shame that obviously he's I don't want to say he's reduced the presence of his company, I think, to some extent in the U.S. with him not there, but it's great to see him with a company like and I know. I've talked to Jose enough to know he was always high on EPC. This is a brand he really has always believed in.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for listening to the Stogie Geeks show. We'll see everyone next year. Woo! Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year to everyone. We'll see everyone next year.
Yep.